Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of DC Collectors. Today we're going back in time to 2009 and taking a look at the DC Direct Justice League International Series 1 action figures. But before we do, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. I sure would appreciate it. And share this channel with all of your friends that love DC Comics and DC Comics related toys. Back in 2009, DC Direct said, hey, let's create action figures based on one of the best comic book runs ever. And of course, that's my opinion only, but it sure seems like it. The Justice League International by the great J.M. DeMatteis, Keith Giffen, and Kevin Maguire. DC Direct chose quite an eclectic group of characters: Gnort, Black Canary, Ice, and Batman. Batman is a given. We all know Batman. Batman is going to be number one in any series they start with. But Gnort, Ice, and Black Canary, in my opinion, they could have started it with Batman, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, and maybe Black Canary. Just throw one of the oddballs in there. But one of the reasons this series stuck with me so much is the eclectic group of characters that made up the Justice League International. And that's why I loved it. The humor, the action, the group of characters that were chosen to be in the Justice League, it was great. And that's why I still today read that run probably once a year, just because it's such a great run to me. So again, they started this series off with these four figures, and let's take a look at what these figures came with. Now, they just came with the one Justice League base here. It's just a clear ovalish looking base with the one peg there and the Justice League International logo right in the middle with, of course, the copyright information here. Each figure only had one peg on one foot. So obviously that foot had to go on that one peg, and that's the way they stand. And by design, because of the way these stands work. Now, these figures were sculpted by Tim Bruckner, who was a longtime DC Direct sculptor, and he did an amazing job capturing Kevin Maguire's artwork. I know Kevin Maguire's artwork is a little bit hard probably to capture in a 3D sculpt like this. So I think he did a very good job. My issue with these figures is just maybe some of the design elements, like, for instance, Batman here. I love that the cape goes over the shoulders. That's my favorite look for Batman. But as you can see, the cape goes all around his neck, and it's just right there where it's stuck together. So it keeps you from looking at the great Batman sculpt underneath unless you lift this thing up. I wish maybe they had gone with a cloth cape on this instead of this, or maybe, leave it hung over like this, but just cut it so it doesn't go all the way around his neck. That way you can move it back and forth. But you can see it's still just a fantastic sculpt of Batman underneath this thing. And the colors on these figures pops. They have this metallic sheen to just about every single color except for Green Lantern's actual costume is sort of a matte green. Batman's gray, purplish gray suit is a matte color, and of course skin tone's matte, but everything else just really pops, and I love that. I mean, DC Direct is famous for doing that with their paint, so I really love it. Now, another bad thing about these figures is the articulation. We're talking the late 2000s, so Marvel Legends was probably top of the line when it comes to articulation. DC Direct still hadn't adopted that at this point, and you can tell with some of these figures that the articulation is horrible. For instance, let's take a look at Gnort here. Gnort, the only articulation he has, well, you can see his mouth can move up and down just a little bit. And, while that's cool, his head's tilted to the side. You can't really do much with it. It just turns all the way around. That's it. So he's got this natural tilt to him. His arms just go up and all the way around. He does have elbow bends, but not very much of one. And you can turn him at the waist. That's it. Does his tail turn? Yes, his tail turns too. All right, so you could turn his tail. That's it. His leg, this from down is all one sculpted piece. Don't get me wrong. Any Gnort figure I'm proud to own because he is one of my favorite Green Lanterns, but just overall, just not very articulated figure. But just look at that sculpt. Excellent, excellent sculpt. Just captures the character so well. Tim Bruckner did just a fantastic job sculpting this guy. You can see, just look at those huge feet. That is that is hilarious and good all at the same time. I absolutely love this figure. Let's take a look at Black Canary. Now, Black Canary suffers from what I like to call this weird leg syndrome. Look, her legs are really long. Look at that paint. That's awesome. But the knees sort of bend backwards. You can tell. Look at that. Just how it looks. I mean, and over time, this figure gets harder and harder to stand. Even on the actual stand, at times I will catch her creeping over like this, and eventually she'll just fall over and off onto the shelf, which is unfortunate because you can't, if you bend her knees and try to bend her back, she doesn't do well at all because I don't know if it's a weight thing. She is sort of top heavy and she doesn't look top heavy, but that's sort of weird. Again, with the articulation on this figure, not much at all. With the hair, the way it comes down around her, you're not going to move that head much at all. That's about as far up as you're going to move her arm and back because of the shoulder pads here. And that's unfortunate. She does have a little bit of an elbow bend. Not much. Does she turn at the waist? She doesn't turn at the waist. You know, that's it. That's as far as she can go up and back. And of course, her knees bend. But that's it. It's a real unfortunate thing. Oh, look. Her forearms kind of turn there at the glove as well. Just an unfortunate bit of articulation on these figures. These would have been so much better if they were fully articulated, especially with that Maguire sculpt on the head. But again, this one is a pretty hard one to stand. Look at the size of her feet and the hole there. I mean, I guess the size of her feet and just the proportions just make it difficult for her to stand on her own. Take a look at Ice. She's another one that's a little weird. I don't like the actual the design of the sculpt, like with her hands just kind of out to the sides like this. Just kind of a weird choice to me. The paint on her face is not all that great. I mean, if you look at the eyes, they're a little bit wonky. But overall, decent job on this. The legs are long, and that is by design. If you look at Kevin Maguire's artwork, he tends to draw long legs with very little definition in those legs. Flip through some of his artwork, and you can tell Tim Bruckner did a good job of capturing that. Does it work as well in toy form? I don't think so. But if you straighten her arms out, I mean, she just looks like she's standing like this, which I get it. Her wrist maybe it's like she's trying to shoot ice. I guess. I guess that's what they were going for. To me, it just doesn't work as well. Of course, with this one, articulation-wise, her head goes all the way around. Same thing with her arms. She does have elbow bends, and of course, her wrist turn. As far as legs, again, you're not getting much movement with these legs at all. And of course, unfortunately, you're going to start seeing paint rub the more you move them on the crotch area right here where the blue in the skin meet, which is unfortunate. She does have boot swivel there, but the knee bend is not much at all. But still, again, look at that, just really tiny feet. So it makes it kind of hard to stand. But Batman, that great sculpt underneath the cape is lost because of the way the design of the figure. I wish that they would have chosen a different way to put the cape on the body. But, beggars can't be choosers, and I've got to be happy with what I have. This is probably one of my most favorite Batman figures that I own, even though it's very limited in what it can do. Just the fact that it's based on Maguire's artwork, it makes it one of my favorites. Look at the Batman sculpt there, just the face. Pretty decent, although the paint job on the skin left a little bit to be desired. They just kind of went thick on the skin-colored paint, which kind of lost some of the details of the sculpt underneath. Here you can look at the back of the figure. Again, this is that soft vinyl material. Inside of the cape is a lighter blue than the outside, which is cool. I love that bat belt there. And as far as articulation on him, that's about as far as his leg's going to move out, which is crazy. He's got much better knee articulation than others. You can see right here, his elbows bend. And of course, you could probably move his arms all the way around as well as his head. But the cape really, look at that. Now, Batman has some, owning this figure for so long, and I've never noticed that you can move his head up and down. Is that crazy or what? But Batman fits on the stand. I wonder if the other figures move. Oh, crap. I've never noticed that with these figures. The heads move up and down. Holy, now I've just discovered something while videotaping this. This is so cool. Does Black Canary's head move up and down? Yes, it does. Wow. Live and learn, people. Live and learn. Even his head does to a certain degree. Oh, wow. And now I've gotten it straight. Look at that. I've never been... that's what I love about going back and pulling some of these off the shelf every now and then. You get to really appreciate these figures and obviously learn something new about them. Now, this particular series was Wave 1. They did have a Series 2, which included Martian Manhunter, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, and Fire. And that was it. Unfortunately, the line, I guess, did not sell as well as they had hoped. So that was it for the line. I do know, I believe I saw a Captain Marvel sketch done by Kevin McGuire at some point. So I know they had plans for Series 3. It failed in what it was trying to accomplish. But there it is from 2009, the DC Direct Justice League International Series 1 wave of action figures. If you can't find them and you're a fan of the Justice League International, I highly suggest you go out and try to find these on the secondary market, eBay. Most definitely. These figures are tending to rise in price a little bit. So if you want them, you need to go out and try to find them now. Otherwise, you won't be able to get them later. All right, so that's it for this little flashback in history. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button and that like button and share the channel with all your friends. And also, you can find me on DCCollectors.com. And you can find me on social media at DCCollector on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Peace.